Hello, and welcome. This is a puzzle game called Gadgets and Gizmos, in which your goal is to guide the objects into the cube with creative placement of the various assorted tools available to you. The initial concept actually stemmed from Unity's junior programmer pathway that I'd been working through. The pathway teaches an awesome assortment of beginner skills from visual and audio effects to gameplay mechanics to UI and a myriad of other things. And eventually you get to a point where they provide you with something called the counting prototype. This is essentially just an asset package in which a cube collects spheres and counts how many spheres it collects. So with that base functionality, it's your job to take it and run with it. The project started simple at first. Originally, it was just one tool, the panel, and you would use that to guide a single sphere to a cube at a fixed position. Nothing crazy or fancy. And once I had that done, I thought, okay, this is great. It's definitely enough to submit to the counting prototype page and continue with my studies. But something cool happened. I actually had a lot of fun connecting everything and making it all work. So I decided to flesh out the project to the degree that I had blueprinted it, which was with the 4 tools currently available in the demo. Being only 1 month into my studies, I'm glad that I stuck to challenging myself and ended up not biting off more than I could chew. I learned a lot through the process of working on this project. Namely, one of the key concepts that proved invaluable was software architecture. Now, up to this point, I should mention that Unity's junior programmer pathway had not touched on any data management at all. I had sought out information independently because I'd crashed and burned a few times in spaghetti code trying to connect scenes and transfer data with singletons of game managers, things like that. It was messy, so I knew that there had to be a better way. And in one of Jason Wyman's videos, he put me on to the scriptable object tutorial from Ray Wenderlich. Now, this was awesome. This taught me essentially the power of C# and Unity and how to unpack everything to create a true system that is decoupled and blends everything together effectively. Let's head over to the Unity project to check out how things are structured. All right, cool. Now that we're in the project, let's break down how things are mostly functioning. So a good example I can give you is here in the Spawn Manager class. I've got it broken out into 3 different classes that handle spawning. And in the Spawn Spheres class, we've got 2 game event listener scripts attached. Now you can see what this is basically doing. It's listening to the game event that we designate here. In this case, the event is on gameplay loaded, and then it issues the response of spawning the spheres. On gameplay loaded gets called in the state change class when we change to the gameplay canvas, and you'll see that the response that's right under the event there in the script class is for the spawn spheres class to spawn all spheres. So this works in tandem with the game event scriptable object class, which I'll show you here in a bit. But let me give you one more example of where this really comes into play, and that's in the tool prefabs themselves. You can see I've got a myriad of game event listeners set up here where every tool that's spawned in is actually listening to a variety of events that are being raised and functioning throughout that process. So here I want to show you the actual game event and the game event listener scripts themselves. And again, this is coming directly from that Ray Wenderlich tutorial. So in the game event class on the left, you'll see the create asset menu header actually allows you to create a game event just by going into your asset menu and creating it. And all the game events that this project is using are set up here in the scriptable object within my assets. This raise function is what you actually reference within your scripts to raise the game event. So for example, you'd say something like on gameplay loaded dot raise. So that way every listener that is subscribed to that game event receives it and issues their respective response. And then these last two functions in the game event class are responsible for subscribing to listeners. Now, none of this would really work or make sense without the game event listener class on the right. And this is tying it all together in a nice clean loop. You basically have the game event, the response in the inspector, and then you subscribe to the events in the enable and disable functions. And of course, you invoke the response. This system worked really well to allow me to send data between scripts in the context of this game, particularly the fact that I can actually create new tools if I want to and edit pre-existing tools without having them have their own scripts and be tightly coupled with each other. So you'll see in my prefabs, I've got all my tools and they all inherit or get their base functionality from this unified tool script. And then all the game event listeners, everything I can essentially copy over the components to any new tools I create, and they'll all work pretty well. Now, I am still naive, I should say, to the fact that this isn't the only way to do things, and I recognize that. So I'm curious what you guys think. If anybody's got any feedback on this system, this process, how it can be improved, maybe what I'm missing here, that would be awesome. Feel free to leave a comment. No doubt graphics were not the main focus of this project, although once I did get everything in a workable, playable state, I made sure to enhance the user experience a little with things like this lose screen that you see here, prompts the player to try again at the same difficulty or head back to the main menu, change their difficulty, as well as a win screen that you'll see here in a bit. I added some sound effects and visual effects to really tie everything together from the junior programmer pathway. Some of my favorite are the bouncy ball sound effect, as well as the nitro boost. That one's got a cool visual effect to go with it. And then I put together a little background backing track to accompany the gameplay, and that's what you hear here in the background. Some closing thoughts. The game is very simple. It's more of a mini game, but it's been awesome getting it to a complete workable demo state. And it's really given me a newfound appreciation for titles like Mario Party and WarioWare that are just packed full of these mini games. I'm going to go ahead and leave the itch.io link in the description, and feel free to give it a go if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.